Chosen one, stop scrolling. What you're about to hear isn't random. It's not coincidence. This message found you because heaven is already moving pieces behind the scenes. What you lost was not taken to destroy you. It was taken to rebuild you. The moment everything fell apart. There was a season when your life collapsed all at once. Relationships faded, doors slammed shut, stability disappeared overnight. People thought you were finished. Even you questioned yourself in silence. But what looked like loss was actually divine separation. God doesn't rebuild on weak foundations. So he allowed everything unstable to fall. Not because you were unworthy, but because you were chosen for more. And now, the rebuilding phase has begun. Why you had to lose what you loved. You didn't lose it because you failed. You lost it because it could no longer go where you were being taken. Some things expire the moment your spirit outgrows them. God removes what would limit your next level. What broke your heart also broke the chains. What left your life made room for alignment. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. And preparation always feels like destruction before it feels like purpose. The hidden signs God is rebuilding you. You started seeing life differently. Crowds drain you, noise irritates you, silence feels sacred now. You crave truth, not entertainment, depth, not drama. That's not isolation, that's activation. Your patience grew. Your discernment sharpened. Your spirit stopped begging for what once felt necessary. These are signs of reconstruction, not emptiness. Why chosen ones are rebuilt in silence. God rebuilds his chosen in hidden places. No applause, no announcements, no witnesses. Because what he's forming in you cannot be touched by outside opinions. Silence protects the process. People only see the fall. They don't see the divine blueprint being written at midnight. They don't hear the conversations you have with God in tears. But soon they'll see the results. The loneliness that made you powerful. You felt alone, even in rooms full of people. Misunderstood, different, out of place. That loneliness wasn't rejection, it was refinement. God was teaching you how to stand without leaning. You stopped needing validation. You stopped explaining your vision. You stopped chasing people who couldn't hear God's voice in you. That's strength, that's maturity, that's chosen energy. What God is rebuilding right now. He's rebuilding your confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet certainty. The kind that doesn't argue, doesn't chase, doesn't beg. The kind that knows. He's rebuilding your future connections. Divine relationships, aligned opportunities. People who recognize your spirit without you speaking. Nothing random is coming next. Why this time will be greater than before. What's returning won't look exactly like what you lost. It will be stronger, cleaner, more aligned. This version won't require you to shrink or struggle. It will fit the person you've become. God doesn't restore you to the past. He rebuilds you for the future. And the future requires a different structure. That's why this process took time. The fear you feel means it's close. If you feel nervous without knowing why, pay attention. If your spirit feels restless but hopeful, that's alignment. If old cycles no longer tempt you, you've outgrown them. Something new is near. Breakthrough always comes with trembling. Elevation always feels unfamiliar. You're not scared because you're weak. You're scared because you're stepping into something powerful. A reminder before you move forward. Don't rush the rebuild. Don't doubt the delay. Don't envy people still comfortable where God already pulled you from. Your path is different because your calling is different. If this message is speaking to you, don't ignore it. Let it anchor you. Let it confirm what your spirit already knows. You are not late, you are right on time. If you felt this in your spirit, don't scroll away. Pause, breathe, receive it. Type, "I receive the rebuild" in the comments and claim it. And if this message found you at the right moment, like this video so it reaches other chosen ones. Subscribe to Chosen Wave if you're ready for truth that awakens, not entertains. Tell me in the comments, what is God rebuilding in your life right now? The weight you've been carrying invisibly. You've been strong for so long that people forgot you were human. You smiled while breaking inside. You showed up while exhausted spiritually. That invisible weight wasn't meant to crush you, it was meant to train you. Strength was being forged where no one was clapping. God allowed you to carry more because He knew you wouldn't drop it. But now He's about to lighten the load. Not by removing responsibility, but by increasing capacity. What once felt heavy will soon feel natural. Why people turned against you. Some people didn't hate you, they feared your growth. Your light exposed what they refused to heal. Your silence made them uncomfortable. Your boundaries felt like rejection to those who benefited from your weakness. So they misunderstood you on purpose. They questioned your intentions. They painted you as the problem. But God saw the truth the whole time. The season of being misjudged. You were judged for pulling away. Judged for changing. Judged for choosing peace over chaos. But growth always offends familiarity. They wanted the old version of you, accessible, available, adjustable. But God was creating a version that cannot be manipulated. That's why the distance happened. That's why explanation stopped. When God removed your old identity, there was a time you didn't recognize yourself anymore. Old habits didn't satisfy you. Old goals felt empty. Old labels no longer fit. That confusion wasn't loss of identity, it was shedding. God was removing layers that didn't come from Him. Stripping what people named you, so He could call you by who you truly are. The death that had to happen. Some versions of you had to die. The people pleaser. The overgiver. The one who stayed too long. Death in the spiritual realm is not punishment. It's transition. And resurrection only happens after surrender. You survived what was meant to end you. Why nothing is rushed in this phase. You want answers now. Results now. Clarity now. But divine timing is precise, not fast. God moves when alignment is complete. When your spirit, mind, and character can sustain the blessing. Because rushed miracles collapse. But prepared blessings remain. The inner voice getting louder. You've noticed it, haven't you? That inner knowing. That quiet instruction. That unexplainable certainty. That's not imagination. That's discernment activating. God is teaching you to trust His voice inside you. Soon, you won't need confirmation from people. Why you no longer chase what left. You stop chasing apologies. You stop chasing closure. You stop chasing recognition. Because peace replaced the hunger. That's a sign of healing. Chosen ones don't beg for seats at tables God already removed them from. They build new tables and invite only alignment. The calm before the shift. Things feel still right now. Too still. Like the world is holding its breath. That's not stagnation, that's positioning. When God moves, it happens suddenly. Quiet seasons always precede loud breakthroughs. Rest is part of the rebuild. Don't interrupt it with fear. What you're becoming is rare. Not everyone can handle solitude. Not everyone can sit with truth. Not everyone can lose everything and still trust God. That's why everyone isn't chosen. Your journey wasn't designed for crowds. It was designed for impact. And impact requires depth. That depth is being completed now. The energy shift you can't explain. You feel lighter but more serious. Softer but stronger. More compassionate but less tolerant of nonsense. That balance is maturity. God is recalibrating your spirit. Old triggers don't work anymore. Old temptations feel foreign. That's evidence of elevation. The break from old cycles. You're no longer repeating what once trapped you. The same patterns don't pull you like before. The same temptations feel empty now. That's not willpower, that's deliverance. Cycles break when awareness rises. And awareness is a gift God gives only after endurance. You endured confusion, loss, and silence. Now clarity is replacing chaos. Why your prayers changed. You used to pray for things. Now you pray for alignment. For peace. For purpose. That shift matters. Because God responds faster to surrendered prayers. You're no longer asking Him to follow your plan. You're asking to be part of His. The detachment that confused people. People noticed you pulled back. You stopped oversharing. Stopped explaining. Stopped reacting. They called it distance. But it was discernment. You learned that access is earned, not given. And not everyone deserves your energy. The strength built in obscurity. No one saw the nights you cried in prayer. No one saw the mornings you forced faith. No one saw the battles you won silently. But heaven recorded every moment. Obscurity is where giants are trained. Public platforms come later. First comes character. And yours was refined under pressure. Why God hid you from certain people. If they had access to you earlier, they would have delayed your growth, misused your loyalty, distracted your focus. So God closed doors you kept reopening. Not to hurt you, but to protect the assignment inside you. Some separation is mercy in disguise. The emotional reset. You no longer explode, you observe. You no longer argue, you disengage. You no longer chase, you attract. That emotional reset didn't come naturally. It came through pain, through disappointment, through being pushed to your limits, and surviving anyway. When faith became personal, faith stopped being something you heard. It became something you lived. You stopped borrowing beliefs from others. You found God for yourself. That's dangerous in the best way. Because a person who knows God personally cannot be manipulated spiritually. Your foundation became unshakable. The silence that strengthened you. God didn't answer right away. He watched how you behaved in the waiting. Whether you would panic or trust. Silence wasn't absence. It was training. And now your spirit can sit calmly where others collapse. The shift in how you see people. You see beyond words now. Beyond smiles. Beyond titles. You read energy. That's not judgment. That's discernment. And discernment is required for where you're going next. Why you're no longer afraid of loss. Once you lost everything, fear lost its power. You realize survival lives inside you. Not in people, not in positions. So now you move freely. Boldly. Unattached. Because nothing owns you anymore. The quiet confidence rising. You don't need to announce growth. It shows in how you move. How you speak. How you choose peace. That confidence didn't come from success. It came from surviving storms. And storms only strengthen roots. Yours are deep now. The return of your authentic self. You're not becoming someone new. You're returning to who you were before the world taught you to shrink. Before survival forced masks. Before pain rewrote your personality. God is restoring what trauma interrupted. Your voice. Your creativity. Your spiritual sensitivity. Nothing pure about you was ever lost. The hunger for truth over comfort. Comfort no longer satisfies you. Easy answers irritate your spirit. You want truth, even when it costs you peace. Because peace built on lies is still bondage. Chosen ones are wired this way. They'd rather walk alone in truth than belong in spaces built on illusion. That's why you outgrew familiar environments. Why your energy feels different now. You don't push, you pull. You don't convince, you embody. You don't chase, you align. Your energy speaks before your mouth does. That shift is spiritual authority. Authority comes from alignment, not effort. And alignment is what God has been rebuilding. Quietly, intentionally. The discernment that saved you. What you avoided mattered more than what you achieved. The conversations you didn't entertain. The shortcuts you didn't take. God blocked things you begged for because they would have delayed destiny. Now you see why the no was protection, not rejection. The season of self-respect. You stopped tolerating disrespect disguised as love. You stopped explaining boundaries to people who enjoyed crossing them. You stopped shrinking to keep others comfortable. That wasn't arrogance, that was healing. Self-respect is spiritual. It signals that you know who you are. And when you honor yourself, others must adjust or exit. Why you no longer fear being alone. Solitude became sanctuary. Silence became safety. Your own presence became enough. That's not loneliness, that's wholeness. God often isolates his chosen to teach them they are complete with him. So when people return, they add, not replace, peace. The breaking of old emotional contracts. You released vows you never consciously made. I'll stay no matter what. I'll fix everyone. I'll earn love through sacrifice. Those contracts expired. They were never signed by God. And now you're free to love without losing yourself. That's maturity. The strength in saying no. No became a full sentence. Not followed by guilt. Not softened by explanations. Just clarity. Every no protected a yes. A yes to purpose. A yes to peace. A yes to God's direction. The identity shift you can't undo. Once you see, you can't unsee. Once you awaken, you can't sleep again. Your spirit has crossed a threshold. There is no going back. You're no longer trying to fit in. You're learning where you belong. And belonging always follows becoming. Not effort. The inner peace that replaced chaos. Chaos no longer excites you. Drama no longer entertains you. Your nervous system chose safety. Your spirit chose stillness. That peace is not weakness. It's the evidence of trust. Trust that God is handling what you no longer control. The separation that was predestined. Some connections were never meant to last. They were assignments, not lifetimes. They activated you, then exited. And that exit was written before you met them. God removes people when their role is complete. Not everyone is meant to see your next version. Some only knew the seed, not the harvest. Why you were targeted early. You carried light before you understood it. Even as a child, you felt different. Too deep, too sensitive, too aware. That made you a target. Darkness recognizes light instinctively. That's why opposition came early. But survival built spiritual muscle. You're still here for a reason. The emotional intelligence you developed. You learned to read rooms quickly, to feel shifts before words changed, to sense intentions beneath smiles. That wasn't hypervigilance, it was training. God sharpened your awareness, so you wouldn't be deceived later. Where you're going requires discernment, not innocence. The healing of generational patterns. You're not just healing yourself. You're ending cycles, patterns of silence, patterns of sacrifice without reward. Chosen ones break what others normalize. That's why the pressure was heavy. You weren't meant to cope. You were meant to change it. Why you no longer seek revenge. You realized peace is the real victory. Closure doesn't always come through confrontation. Sometimes it comes through detachment. And that's power. God doesn't need you to fight back. He needs you to move forward. What's meant for you cannot be blocked. Not even by those who tried. The return of your intuition. Your intuition got louder as distractions faded. You feel nudges now. Pulls. Warnings without explanation. That's the spirit leading. Not fear. Not trauma. Just alignment. The discipline that replaced motivation. You stopped waiting to feel ready. You moved even when tired. Even when uncertain. That consistency reshaped you. Motivation fades. Discipline builds destiny. And destiny responds to obedience. That's why progress feels inevitable now. The detachment from outcomes. You do your part, then release. No forcing. No controlling. No anxiety. That detachment is faith matured. You trust God with results. Because you've seen Him rebuild before. And He's doing it again. The sense of divine protection. You've noticed it. Near misses. Delayed plans that saved you. Closed doors that later made sense. Protection surrounded you. Even when you felt alone. You were never abandoned. You were being guarded. The confidence to be seen. You're no longer hiding your depth. Your truth. Your presence. You understand now. If people misunderstand you, that's not your burden. Your assignment isn't approval. It's alignment. The restoration of your voice. You went quiet for a reason. Not because you had nothing to say, but because God was refining your message. Silence shaped your authority. Now when you speak, it lands. Not everyone will understand it, but the right ones will feel it. Your voice carries weight because it survived suppression. Why you were misunderstood on purpose. If they truly understood you early, they would have tried to contain you, label you, control you. God allowed misunderstanding as camouflage. It kept predators away from the purpose. It protected your becoming. Confusion around you was strategic. The refinement of your character. Talent can open doors, but character keeps them open. So God tested your integrity in private. Your patience under pressure. You passed tests no one announced. You stayed kind while disappointed. You remained faithful while overlooked. That's why promotion is unavoidable now. The strength of emotional regulation. You don't react, you respond. You don't explode, you observe. You don't chase, you choose. That control didn't come easily. It came from knowing. Your energy is sacred. And sacred things are handled with intention. Not impulse. The realignment of your priorities. What once mattered doesn't anymore. Titles, applause, proving points. You value peace, truth, and purpose now. That shift simplified your life. God removed distractions disguised as opportunities. Because focus is currency in this next season. Where you're going requires clarity. And you finally have it. The healing of your inner child. You stopped shaming yourself for being sensitive, for feeling deeply, for caring intensely. You realized that was never weakness. God is restoring the innocence. That pain tried to steal. Not naivety, purity. Joy without fear. The understanding of divine timing. You see it now. Why it didn't happen then. Why it hurt first. Why the wait was long. Timing protected you. Early access would have broken you. Late arrival matured you. And now you're ready. The shift from surviving to building. You're no longer just trying to make it through. You're planning, creating, planting seeds. Survival mode trained you. But it was never meant to be permanent. Now you're building something that lasts. Something aligned. The peace of being unbothered. What used to trigger you no longer reaches you. Not because you're numb, but because you're healed. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to be right publicly. Your peace is louder than validation. That's mastery. The quiet certainty of what's next. You may not see every step, but you feel the direction. That's enough. Faith doesn't require full visibility. God is rebuilding everything you lost. Stronger, cleaner, aligned with who you are now. The alignment you can finally feel. Things are starting to make sense without explanation. You're meeting the right information at the right time. Messages confirm what you've been feeling internally. That's not coincidence. That's alignment locking in. When alignment happens, resistance fades. You stop forcing outcomes. You move with clarity instead of urgency. That's how you know God is arranging the next phase. The end of proving yourself. You're no longer trying to convince anyone of your worth. You don't overperform for validation. You don't explain your value to those who doubt you. Because certainty replaced insecurity. Chosen ones reach a point where silence speaks louder than effort. Those meant to recognize you will. Those who don't were never assigned to you. The internal authority taking root. You trust yourself now. Your decisions come with calm. Even when unsure, you move without panic. That's authority being established. God trains leaders internally before elevating them externally. You've learned to stand firm without noise. To lead without force. That's real power. The emotional freedom you earned. You feel emotions without drowning in them. Sadness passes. Joy stays longer. Peace anchors you. That balance didn't come naturally. It came from doing the inner work. From choosing healing over bitterness. From choosing growth over comfort. The release of old expectations. You stopped expecting people to be who they never showed they could be. That release gave you peace. And peace gave you clarity. Expectation is heavy when misplaced. God lifted that weight from you, so you could walk lighter into what's next. Unburdened. The reconnection to purpose. You're remembering what you were born to do. Not through pressure, but through passion returning quietly. Ideas come naturally again. Purpose doesn't scream. It whispers consistently. And now you're finally listening. That's alignment. The healing of trust. You trust again differently. Not blindly. Not fearfully. Wisely. You trust God above outcomes. You trust yourself with boundaries. You trust people with observation. That's mature faith. The sense of readiness without rush. You feel ready, but you're not impatient. Excited, but not anxious. That's the posture God waits for. Readiness without desperation. Faith without force. You're standing exactly where you should be. The awareness of spiritual rank. You don't compare journeys anymore. You understand assignments differ. Your lane is yours alone. And comparison only distracts from calling. God didn't design you to blend in. He designed you to stand firm. And now you carry yourself accordingly. Grounded. The stillness before manifestation. Everything feels calm right now. Too calm for the chaos you survived. That's because the storm already passed. And rebuilding happens quietly. What's forming doesn't need noise. It needs stability. And you finally have it. The foundation is set. The restoration of what was stolen. Time didn't defeat you. Delay didn't disqualify you. What felt stolen was only stored. God never loses track of what belongs to you. Restoration doesn't always bring back the same form. It brings back the value, the lesson, the power, and it returns multiplied. The wisdom gained through loss. Loss taught you what comfort never could. It sharpened your discernment. It humbled your ego. It strengthened your faith. You learned what matters when everything else falls away. That wisdom can't be taught. It must be lived. And now it walks with you. Chosen one, this is your moment. If this message spoke directly to your spirit, don't stay silent. Type "God is restoring me" in the comments and seal it with faith. Like this video, so this message reaches another chosen soul who needs confirmation right now. Subscribe to Chosen Wave if you're ready to walk in truth, power, and divine alignment, not fear. And tell me this, what is the first thing you're believing God to rebuild in your life?